Yeah, just the end of the day vlog since I was, outside again. Um, couldn't go golfing. Too wet. The ground is really wet. Rained it for a couple of days. So I just thought I'd continue what I was talking about earlier today. This whole phantasmagorical, spiritual bullshit thing, and how irritating these people are, and there was a good line in the comments. Somebody said arguing about the vegetarian thing, used the line referring to nature. No, that wasn't how they said it. Um, God damn it. Resorting to nature? No. Uh, Maybe I'll just edit the video here while I figure out what the hell whatever. I couldn't think of it. Now the neighbors are talking too loud. God damn. They have no volume control. They're just completely fucktarded. They're 10 feet away from each other, and I can hear them 100 feet away. It's just so stupid to have to deal with that shit. But anyway, stupid humans. Nice, peaceful atmosphere, and but now you gotta listen to them talk about their poop or something. But anyway, it's really not the subject. So anyway, I can't think of what the thing is, but anyway, the whole idea that you use nature as an excuse, and so everybody this glorification of nature is a valid subject. There's just no reason for it. There's nothing, yes, of course, nature pleases us. I've said this before. It's because we've sort of been built by billions of years of evolution to be comfortable in nature. It wouldn't make much sense if we were uncomfortable in nature. And ironically, though, there's a lot of natural stuff that makes us kind of uncomfortable. I mean, we don't like the prospect of getting eaten by some, furry beastie. And it's kind of spooks us. I mean, you go walk around in the woods in the dark, and you'll see that maybe we're not, even nature didn't make us too damn comfortable with nature. It kept us on guard enough to maybe keep ourselves alive, and be a little bit scared to death a lot of the time to do that. And that's the reality. I mean, that's sort of the test. I mean, go out in the dark. Go walk into the dark and into a place that can get you. And you'll appreciate maybe what life is for animals out there. They're not feeling some other emotion than the one you're feeling. They're fucking pretty paranoid too. Pretty scared, pretty cold, pretty uncomfortable. But anyway, it's not about having to make a convincing argument that nature is shit, because I think if people are all honest with themselves, they can see plenty in it that's shit. But it's just this whole idea that nature knows what it's doing, because it created a biosphere. Look, it created all this stuff. So it must have known what it was doing, because how could it create all this complex stuff? And that's almost like some jackass religious jerk holding up a pocket watch or something and saying, see, God couldn't make one, mere man couldn't make one of these. It couldn't just happen by accident. Not man, but you know what I mean. Blind forces. So yeah, the world has to be deliberate, and it seems the phantasmagoricals fall into the same trap. I mean, they look around and say, oh, it's just too much. It's too much. Matt does this all the time. Too many species. No, it couldn't happen by accident. It's too many species. There couldn't possibly be so many species by natural selection and evolution. I mean, he actually makes a bogus argument like that. He says the little flagellum tail on a microbe is suspicious. I mean, how did that happen? It couldn't possibly happen by some natural process. No, the phantasmagorical unicorn, pushed it in there with his little hoof. It's just such bullshit. I mean, they're just turning nature into God, and nature's crude forces. That's all it is. It's biology. It's chemistry. It's physics. All right. I mean, it's and the fact that elements have character, and that their character, their dispositions, allows for combinations that can get very eccentric and intricate in terms of molecular structure, and actually create a molecule that is capable of reproducing itself. It's not magic. It's the fact that it can happen doesn't mean that there's some will that it happens. And there's just so many ways you could paint this scenario. I mean, what if Tyrannosauruses had gotten really smart? Not human smart, but chimpanzee smart. Maybe there would have never been a chimpanzee. Because maybe they would have been so dominant and so controlling of the biosphere that nothing else would have a chance, to spring out of that, the lower regions. It's just, I mean, I've made the argument, but yeah, you look in the ocean. Look at the ocean. Nothing came out of there. Nothing sprang up out of the ocean, and on its own, and grew a brain. Smartest thing swimming around out there is an octopus. So what is that? I mean, that's not. It's pretty telling that this intelligence thing is an eccentricity that just doesn't happen all the time. Life can evolve a long time in environments, and nothing happens. Things don't get any smarter, because smartness isn't really what the game is about. It's about being durable. It's about having a hard shell. It's about having a poisonous bloodstream. It's about a lot of things that survival requires. But it doesn't require you to write Shakespeare. Survival really doesn't require you to write Shakespeare. And it doesn't require extensive intelligence. And so organisms aren't going to, they're going to do it the expedient way. It's a lot more expedient to have a kid and have him ready to go, as soon as he pops out of that egg. It's not very practical to have to nurture it for 15 or 20 years to make it know what the hell it's doing and to be functional on its own. And there are environments where animals can afford that luxury. They can get a little bit eccentric and strange because the competitive pressure isn't strong enough, and they can sort of take advantage of having a little bit of knowledge. But the game really isn't having a lot of knowledge. A lot of knowledge is not going to make you more competitive in a controllable way. It's going to make you capable of killing your own kind, and that's what we did for a long time. We killed our own relatives, essentially. I mean, when the Europeans went to the New World, who were they killing? They were killing an offshoot of their own family just 30,000 years ago. I mean, their own cousins. That's what they were killing. So it is cannibalism. It is, it's self-genocide. But that's human, and that's nature, and nature sucks. The selfishness it instills in us, the desire, the passions, they're really great when you get your little moments of satisfaction, but the price we pay for them are very high. And I guess that's part of what I have to emphasize in this video. I wanted to, is that when we look at this whole life thing, when we look at our little adventure here, our little period of time where we get to enjoy, you have to understand the context. You have to understand where it came from and what price was paid for it. So if you look at the whole life thing, from the first reproducing cell to today, you have to balance all that's been paid for this. None of it's free. It's like you got to measure. Like if Adolf Hitler's parents had 3 kids, and one of them's Hitler and 2 of them are just regular Joes. The regular Joes aren't going to be able to make up in terms of their good life for the bad life. So then you go back another generation, another generation, another generation. How far back do you have to go before you have enough good prodigy to justify the existence of the real bad prodigy? The one negative black sheep. How do you make up for that? How many good human beings does it take to make up for one rotten human being? And there's the same equation as you can balance this suffering thing. The price of slavery. It wasn't just slavery. It just wasn't 200 years of horrible oppression of people. Look what it cost us in the Civil War. Look at the suffering that was endured to get rid of it. And so that's the real cost of it. It isn't just the cost of having it while it exists. It's also the cost of what it took to get rid of it. You have to put that into the equation. And then you have to start saying, well, how bad was bad? And that the catastrophe becomes bigger and bigger. And a lot of these people will just turn all this all into some subjective argument, and they'll just say that somehow the Holocaust is just a subjective thing. It has no objective negative. So 6 million people suffering in concentration camps, that has no objective meaning. It's only a subjective bad, and it's just such bullshit. I think we can objectively say that's bad shit. How bad it is, and what good compensates for it is the real question. I guess some assholes will say, as I had a donut with little sparkly, things on it, little sprinkles, and it was pink. It was a little pink donut, and it made me all happy, and so that makes up for the Holocaust. I mean, some people have that as the equation. They say, well, I'll just throw a couple of little tiny pleasures on the other side of the sheet, and we'll have a balance. You know, the red numbers will balance the black numbers, and everything will be okay, because those black numbers are just so important. You know, I had an orgasm the other day, and it was really great. So that must be worth at least 3 or 4 billion people suffering in a concentration camp. Yeah, it must be. It just, but there's a real equation here, and it's worth discussing. And they won't even have the discussion. I guess that's the part that pisses me off. They will disengage the discussion. They'll sabotage it because they can't really deal with that issue, and they don't want to deal with it. I guess is the real point. They don't want to spend any of their intellectual energy on trying to find a way to do this math and to figure out what equals what. Instead, they just want to give up. And they want to say, only the universe knows. They want to say it's a hidden truth. It's like under a rock on Mars, the truth, and you know that answer to that question. And so we just don't have access